Hey everyone, do you know that when you press into the things of the Lord, that oftentimes, if not always, there is a great opportunity for failure as well as the opportunity for your miracle? So I'm going to explain that, but first I'm Charles McPherson, and I hope you're encouraged by this video, and if you are, then share that encouragement with someone else, as well as follow the channel and comment, because all of that helps grow the channel, and it's very encouraging to me as well. So let me explain. How is it that God gives us opportunities for failure with our opportunities for success or for our miracle? Well, let me explain. Let's go to the garden. In the garden was perfect, right? God created man. Man was in the image and the likeness of God, man and woman. I'm just old school. I just used the man name. And so when man was there, he had everything perfect, right? Except there was one little problem. There was a serpent in the garden. And that serpent is always in the garden. I don't care what your garden looks like. If it's God's garden and He's built that garden in your life, there is a serpent. So when we pray and come before God and we're seeking something, whether it's a healing, oftentimes, we are seeking healings, but whatever it may be, there is also that opportunity for failure. And because we see the opportunity for failure clearer than we see the opportunity for success, we often choose failure. Now, we don't call it failure. We call it something like, well, God's must not be God's will because He didn't answer that prayer. Well, the truth is, this may have been because we chose failure instead of success. Now, let me give you some biblical examples other than the garden. New Testament examples. There was a blind man on the road to Jericho, and Jesus was coming down the road. And he heard that Jesus was coming, and he obviously knew who he was because he cried, "Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me." Recognizing with the title Son of David that Jesus was the Messiah. So he's crying out to Yeshua HaMashiach. The problem is there's always that opportunity for failure. And Jesus presented that opportunity for failure by not stopping. Jesus passed by. But he didn't take the opportunity. He began to cry the louder. That's all he had, was crying the louder. And he took that power that he had and he used it to reach out to Jesus and bring him to a stop. And the blind man cast off that beggar's cloak and he got up and he went to Jesus and he was healed. So we have the Canaanite woman who had the daughter with an affliction. And she came to Jesus and she asked for healing for her daughter. And Jesus looked at her and responded to her, and he said this, "It is not good to give the children's bread to the dogs." What opposition is standing in front of you at that point? What arrogance or pride would flare up in each of us? See, we have an opportunity presented, and often it's camouflaged by the opportunity for failure. You see, this woman had a great opportunity to succeed, but with that opportunity for success, she was presented with another opportunity. And she humbled herself before the Lord and she said, "Yes, Lord, you're right. But even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table." And so what was the result of that? She's honored by being in the Bible, and it's a display of her faith. What a wonderful thing. And so, and her daughter was healed. And so we go on. Let's look at another opportunity. And this would have been an opportunity of the woman with the issue of blood. She'd been sick for 12 years with this issue of blood. She would have been very weak. And yet the opposition she had was greater than the crowd of men that were crowded around Jesus. And she can't get to Jesus because of all these men. Well, it's not only their physical size and strength that's keeping her from Jesus, it's the fact that it's illegal for her to be in public. But yet she overcame that opportunity for failure and she chose opportunity for success by going beyond that which is natural and which is normal and which is reasonable, and she made her way somehow through that crowd, refusing to take no for an answer, and she got to where she could touch the tassel or the hem of the garment. And so we see this great opportunity for failure, but yet she refused failure and she chose success. And then there's one more that we're going to talk about today. We have these friends with their one friend on the pallet, and they want to get him to Jesus. He's inside of a house, and they're so packed tight that they can't get in. And so they have a different type of obstacle. Their obstacle is physical. So what do? They ignore their opportunity for failure, and they get on the roof and they begin to tear up that roof. And so here they are. They're going through this opposition, and the man receives healing based on the faith of those who did the work. See, because faith without works is dead. And oftentimes we are kneeling on our knees, or we're sitting in our chair and we're asking God to do something, not expecting that we have to respond, and by not responding, we are just taking advantage of that opportunity for failure. If the Spirit of the Lord is moving on you to do a thing, don't look for the easy road. Matter of fact, embrace the hard thing. So real quick, in closing, let's look at this. So the man on the Jericho road, he had to overcome discouragement. The woman with the issue of blood, she had to overcome not only discouragement, but discouragement and fear. The lowering the friend down through the roof, they had to overcome the physical opposition. Probably the largest obstacle is pride. The Canaanite woman, she had to overcome not just pride, but racial pride, because we too often identify with our race or our nationality, our church, whatever it is we identify with, and that becomes our opportunity for failure. Because when Jesus and getting to Him is not the most important thing, we will always choose the opportunity for failure. I'm Charles McPherson. Blessings.